Hello, hello, YouTubers. Hello, world. Media has been with exploiting intercampuses, recorded originally, still maintained criminally foreign influence, education involved with the physical delusions of people and with fact cheating nature. With like, see, two good people, I can see they're great people, but they're used for very bad things with physical delusions, with their convictions, with their natures. You can tell that they were probably bullied growing up. YouTubers Roberto Blake and the Philip DeFranco show, for example. I was very disheartening. Someone said a comment about on a live stream with Roberto Blake about, do you think they're quashing small YouTubers or whatever? And he went on and talked fast and uh, got mad, you know, with the nature that was like, so I almost wanted to block you. You know what I'm saying? Free speech is not being led, not even legitimate questions. It's being countered with people then you have to describe with physical delusions and with ill natures. And then you have to fight with people because they know, Roberto Blake's a good person, victim predator. Fake news lied to him. He's got physical delusions in his mind regarding the integrity of CNN, regarding the integrity of his premises treatments. They have a fake YouTube page pretending to be me. It says Ronnie Mansour's new lover is the name of it. Can't even record. You can't even report that stuff. They're separating natures of crime acts intercity since the Trade Center attack context. Recorded with a pattern of trying to report crime acts and confessions from strangers to me, tied to what all kinds of federal crimes, and then with ones in the Trade Center context, and then with one since, and with a proven sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit from the Trade Center attack context, with the same interstate click from my state, interbranch recorded, private recorded with that, intermilitary recorded having been facilitated, used for identity thefts, fake conversations with me and stuff like that. But still, no one even realizes because federal criminals are sort of recorded with crime rolls, uncharged but recorded with kids that were placed in my classrooms. And with the federal criminals, one of them had a daughter in my grade. That was a federal. That was a in a part of a case. This is that were divided in parts of the case. In the Trade Center attack context, Ninth Circuit with the sequence shift proven after that in the Ninth Circuit, four panel judges made them see something appeared late, made them rule wrong. So then all that time had to prove that, and then went to 2006, and now we're in another part of the case, Ty, where defendant, former director of the FBI, with his co-defendants. One of them was the girl with the daughter. It was the guy, Charlie Clanch, with his daughter, Donald Clanch, involved criminally. Confessed and recorded with the same CCSU Trinity campus, on and off campuses training of police forms and roles with them, retired and standing into branch. Judges were recorded with forging and switching names, roles, with officers faking arrests into databases. See, these are crime acts, sex crime acts using the Facebook pages, a page of New Britain Superior Court, in collusion with, and as recorded, Bruce, they were forcing words sustained with a principal sex offender. Then when I went to report acts tied to that, before I even got to mentioning those acts, they arrested me with lies and with physical delusions. For after having forged other police officers' names, switched names, sequence shifters, and crimes like that, and rolls with that in cases through time. Faked arresting officer, a detective Samuda associated with CCSU, interbranch of police with crimes with CCSU and other Connecticut campuses leading up to and since the Trade Center attack are connected. Other federal criminals like um, forgot his name, one of the other federal criminal co-defendants of the former director of the FBI and his lawyer, Robert Chevery, who was warned by a Judge Nations or a Judge Winters not to, if that part of a case or case ever came up, not to have him as his lawyer, but he had him as his lawyer. No, because leading up to that 2006 case again, there were worse than there was mail fraud, identity theft. They used kids from my area that I never had anything as adults. Now, I never had anything to do with, but they pretend other in databases because, in other words, they were raised as victim predators. See, if you I could go into it, I don't even know the people. People I never had a conversation with. That's how they make fights. They make natures that want to shut other people's voices up, tied to how they keep. We're having original estate, criminally foreign influences, estates and areas, interbranch families and members, roles, intersciences on off campus, affecting what they can't go back and tell the truth about as a means to maintain originally instilled roles with the nature of organized crime. I'm not even a lawyer, police form, not a criminal. The nature of organized crime that use slavery, they use color, they use fact-cheating nature with everyone sick. Can't counter that with everyone staying on fake sides. See the Phil DeFranco show too, Victim Predator. Proves that he was bullied as a kid too, or online, and now he's because the convictions justifying. In other words, we have natures of business can't defend themselves and us at the same time. So we have the policing of internet. Then they have the evaluation. People, in other words, they're affecting people's. It's worse than extortion because when you're telling people to ignore sex crime acts against your kids, methods where they're pretending it's personal against you too, recorded on Facebook, on YouTube, between platforms, with Twitter, with Ian, with people associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, like a Faenza family also reported and confessed with crimes with the fake news that won't correct it, and with their roles with the picture used on the fake YouTube page, and with all the narratives with the writing also recorded and confessed involved with crimes with a Scalora family, also recorded and confessed involved interstate and worse with the Trade Center attack contact with Connecticut campuses involved criminally, with off campuses, and then with on and off campuses police, because what's motivating that is their roles with crime methods that affect natures to write other into databases, then get stuck, needing to hide from other people's ability of correlation, protraction, and from free speech. Now, I didn't understand how to do it at the time. I was sure. I mean, I was indicated to me that was tied to and as criminal insidious nature roles. A Dr. Shub of modern languages, associated with deans, recorded forging and switching names. Deans from colleges, campuses I didn't even go to, too. And two of the ones I did. And their family members recorded confessed with crimes with them, with houses connected next to schools. See, then there was an Eric Jensen also who lived on a Dearborn Drive in Newington when they put him in a class with me. And I met him a few times before that through a Ray Cologne, who has a Phil Cologne that Bob Chase reported and confessed was involved with the rest of the child sex offenders, with principal sex offender associated with them with crimes. Because he pretended he knew me to my parents behind my back too in the past. I never had a class with Phil Cologne. I never hung around with Ray and his cousins. A Scalora family also pretended to know me through time. All involved with a anticipated and confessed and recorded crime roles with how there are programs with criminal justice, like with Washington, involved with criminality also at the same time within as the value of treatments of the trade center and of fact treatment nature at that level, tied to the reported originally and still breaching method, organized crime method effectively maintained abridged constitution and defenses of that are hidden behind. Because defenses of that are also incapable of countering what was used to facilitate state, Connecticut interbranch roles, New York interbranch roles, intercampuses roles too, with the trade center as fake sides. In other words, the psychos on each side that are being facilitated. The same thing with the overt criminal enterprises reported in collusion, orchestrated, timed crime acts in natures then needs to hide the same finite body of value and progressive value lies. In doing so with the fake news reported collusion with the two because of their roles with the with overt criminal enterprises in other nations, policing shared here or there, like with fire departments, like with triage relationships, with doctors of psychology and stuff like that, with database solution stacking, with physical delusion propagation roles, interscience. See, now this is when we come to premises treatments where we can't have people of a nature pretending to be about news, pretending to be about science, pretending to be about morality to themselves and or to others. When someone's needing to talk about crime acts that are only true always and that are not criminally exploiting exceptions, especially ones that were reported set up to be exploited criminally. See, we need to be able to counter natures of criminal insidiousness originally and still juxtapose criminal insidiousness. So now we're speaking about organized crime. We have news for sustained with identity thefts, fake conversations with me and my family, attaching us to fake positions after they were consciously already interbranch with threat crime acts, tortures, since before the Trade Center context and since predicate acts, bail crimes, attachment and crimes with the advertising companies to know with WFSB and with other networks, also with this Fianza family, also with Joe Aiello. Both of them reported and confessed involved with crimes with interbranch and with military fakes in my area. Fakes, recorded. I'm talking about acts now. I'm not trying to see. They need to make things personal for what they're using victim predators for, which everybody is. Our history is about how they had us obligated to demonstrate what our founders left entrenched for us to fix quality of fact treatment nature, to free it. See, everyone wants to hide behind the pseudo-positive of blind following orders. And you don't even know when they report, they tell lies about things. In other words, everything's not told true. Everyone's relying on other people's issues. There's no place to report crimes because they're recorded. If you try to report, see, I caught them. Instead of going right after the sex crime acts, I knew they were juxtaposing those overt crime acts, milk crimes, and things like that, confessions from strangers, because they're separating issues because of the way they have types of experts, types and natures of the law. There's a guy dealing with medical corruption, or what was it called? Malpractice, medical malpractice law, or something like that. A guy with Latino radio stations with Sammy Vega associated with CCSU criminal justice, other intercity crime acts with databases, with interbranch actors. Them also tied to crime roles with this, knowingly or unknowingly affected by or and implied infected by, what's his name? Joseph Lieberman. See, we have various natures of interbranch actors and their family members who are maintained criminally foreign influence. Hartford is only like you can walk through it, but a couple times before, more than a couple times before the day goes, the daylight, even part of the 24 hours. That's how small it is. Already 80 some shootings in there this year, stabbings more than that. Other intercity people get hurt out of the city because it's all connected. All the shootings in New Haven. They had a fake black woman pretending to be a leader of what is it, the NAACP. I believe that I don't know. I forgot what the name of it is. It was something like that. One of those groups. No, that's how no taxation without legal representation. When they said that, when they were pretending those passions because they were forced to, they were counter extorted by James Madison's plan. They were counter extorted in relationship to slavery, which they had to leave entrenched, their own identity thefts. Our founders, they didn't have free speech. They left. George Washington left overt slavery in Wethersfield, Connecticut, even with the French general's help, because it wasn't England in the face over here. They were forced then, in other ways since, not to give up how they share policing of our stores, which they give up. They direct confessions and demonstrations of it. We have shared policing of our stores as fake sides involved with database solution stacking rackets, and with NAS natures that just let the homeland and foreign people just type whatever in there. What, in other words, using the right to lie for what they don't have the right to lie for originally and still. But they're telling people to sue them for it because they're also using lawyers all trained to be types of law. Now, this is also, see, we have everyone maintained faith in others' opinions that are dishonest, like the medias. They know that they are not. They know, I mean, worse than criminal competence if they don't realize that and how. For example, even them pretending to be about facts as criminal and ceaseless nature, pretending to care about, pretending not to. They need to start fights and pretend they don't understand that markets and that nature or value nature system is recorded abridged. That doesn't mean we leave our positive through that. In other words, our treatments of the identity of positive, that science, real science, is obligated to use. Because identity has a relationship to itself, our nature, the identity of our nature has a relationship to itself that is the cause of positive or negative value nature progressions. That is the cause of the expanding volume and value of our nature that is also positive onto nature self at the same time. In other words, as a temporary positive nature, while we are a quality of diffusion, life, acts, nature. This is further as positive or negative in relationship to a system. Again, that these abridged fact treatment nature system, value nature system, markets positions are tactically ulterior from. So positive onto that is of a nature that can't defend that as positive without being simultaneous defense of an obfuscation of criminal exploitations of fake positive used by criminal insidiousness natures, which is what we have with that database illusion stacking predators, identity theft acts. That's also sex crime acts. Rani Mansour's new lover. That's also recorded and confessed to with New Britain Superior Court with crime acts since I was a kid each year, with the same drug clicks, sex offender clicks, evidence fabrication nature clicks that sought me out to record and demonstrate that. Pretended they had conversations with me too. For them, you see. So we have mandated law not followed. We have the state's attorney generals with that as a fact-checking nature. They're involved criminally with state's attorneys with database crimes, letting police attach fake arrests and fake falsified police reports into the databases of courts, one-way reports, hiding their obligated mandated law to respond to their sex crime acts and those federal crimes before I was arrested for trying to report that and worse tied to a principal sex offender just sentenced. See that there was still more with that. See, I tried to report crime acts tied to that. They arrested me before I could get to those because they have a whole bunch of natures of crimes juxtaposed. They have my longtime neighbors, good people. I don't want to even say their name. I barely know them. I've never had like a conversation with them. They're associated with as victims of F.B.I. criminally involved interstate and wars with with people associated with the witness protection program and with the body dumping spot of Billy Grosso that is also recorded and confessed criminally involved with a whole bunch of people in the family of and as of Enzo Fienza, who I totally don't know, tied to their roles with confessions from strangers that they don't let spoke then, and that's with and his as the Fienza's family recorded crime rolls with their family's lighting company and advertising on WFSB as well. Recorded and confessed with them as well, with crimes with the state judicial branch officers, not just with cases, and with interbranch police through time and military, and that being foreign and domestic too, on and off CCSU. And that was with the same cliques. They have like 5 or 6 girls with the name Alicia tied to New York City and to Alina's Pizza criminally involved with Connecticut campuses and longtime retired and standing interbranch police and leaders. So this is how we had these problems through time, and we never have evolution. You see, there were recorded criminally foreign influence zoning laws tactically denatured relationship to nature, forced as the value of Connecticut since before our founders' births. That's why George Washington, even with the French general's help, he could only semi-counter extort what had overt slavery in the North and in the South, fake sides. Had them consciously as fake sides, not just as nations, but as the same suit and tie counters to it they don't understand because the value of Campus Marcius, that species revealed together before it was criminally influenced, criminally foreign influenced, that's debatable. But see, the only reason that debate is recorded criminally foreign influence. Delusions raw. So then sequence rackets shifting styles raw. So you should, to prove it, you have to be able to report crime acts now. So I don't like child sex offenders. And everyone says that. They don't like child sex offenders. Most of the people who say that are rolls with them. We have Weathersfield, Connecticut, not just with the state judicial branch offices and houses next to it, recorded and confessed of all kinds with WFSB and with and as those people with crimes with their ad companies and with women police forms. Then they pretend they have integrity. They don't, because these are also people recorded in collusion with various natures of FBI, all the way up to director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, came before the narratives with Mueller and with Comey. No, Comey recorded with election crime acts in nature against both President Trump and candidate Hillary Clinton, and that was also with their roles tied to 1989 article written by Eugene Method in the Reader's Digest. See this because these are interstate facilitated and maintained through on-off campuses, maintain criminally foreign influenced states and areas in collusion with other nations, fake sides as fact should be nature value manifest. Our species is a negative value nature progression. So nations of fake morality nature, fake positive, of criminal exploitations of exception nature to what is truly positive always. In other words, doing that's what criminal insidiousness nature does. Wrongdoing is also associated with as a criminal insidiousness nature with our areas more and more because we have recorded facility maintained consciously maintained methodically maintained juxtaposed overt in criminal enterprises in natures of other nations there and here sharing plainclothes officers in natures trained to be as if these natures, we're speaking with and as these gangs. And that is really what they are being facilitated for and by. In other words, these are for crime methods that they're not letting kept demonstrated. They're keeping the overt worst victim predators like individual psychos with the areas too, especially if that was made up about the guy they reported as the serial killer, because that spot, his reported serial killer spot, is recorded and confessed, tied to the on-off campuses CCSU and Trinity College clique, with the interstate interbranch prison cliques, criminally involved with the child sex offenders further. Sex offenders acts and sequence shifts acts. You see, so when you snap at the person, we have little fake positive natures that need to be demonstrated, but then they pretend it's personal when you say it because they're being used, their nature, everyone's nature. So when we had that's why we've never had anything but for money purposes and for theater positive purposes treatments of slavery with movies, with theater, with jokes, all dishonest to themselves and others. You see, because all we need is recorded. We have criminally foreign influence zoning laws, tactically denatured relationship to nature. Our founding fathers' voices stolen, their identity stolen. These are identity theft acts. They have people pretend that they had relationships and know people in the past that they didn't at all. And all those exceptions set up criminally to exploit. That recorded too. See, but no one can put anything in writing now because they've been forging names, switching names into branch, switching sequences. This is recorded with Connecticut interbranch actors tied to and as the crime roles with other FBI and with other natures of agencies and their family members also recorded sick with the kids. I never had anything to do. I never had a class, never was in the presence of a Kelly Gizmerick. What a disgusting person she is. And the person holding a baby on her page involved with their crime roles reported with the child sex offenders and with this Lethe clique. There's a Dr. Lethe of psychology with a triage place. They 3 times they recorded using the triage after they forged and switched names and after confessions tied to their crime acts roles with the Dillon family, intercity with real estate crimes, with various natures of agencies and with a woman, Anna Dillon. I don't know if it's his wife or what that is. His son with Marines is also reported criminally involved with the people with crimes with overt criminal enterprises, with officers pretending it's just that. No, in other words, they're federal crimes with their mouths and verbally and in databases. This is also recorded, confessed, tied to Russians, recorded and confessed involved criminally with the fire departments involved with the rest of the child offenders and retired and standing fire inspectors from New York and CT connected through time. These are people exploiting on off campuses relationships to trainings of police forms and to all the natures of jobs to go with that and types of experts that was set up that they can't defend themselves without relying upon other natures of experts. And those people are telling them to hide from reality and to lie about it and to hurt our citizens offensively to pretend, they have narratives about the perfect world, which are tactically ulterior from what their constitution is unabridged. See, when you're associated with the Constitution abridged, you're reliant upon fake sides here, there, narratives with positive toward, uh, and then needing to pretend, oh, it's the nature of business impositions. Each modern nation is recorded with criminally foreign influence zoning laws that haven't been countered, and because they've been blaming the causes of it on other things, on others, not themselves. They're it's very sick and mean to Germany and to Jews at the same time, not by accident. This forced each modern nation to defend suit and tie or counter to it, not understanding, exploiting and invested, needing to hide how they exploit roles with criminally foreign influence sciences, campus martius value, fact treatment nature value, sequence nature value. These are values by the science that's real, the value nature system that only gains value. In other words, and as what causes evolution here, positive value nature progressions, positive environmental change, no, or negative environmental change, Lethe of Hades, force space nature transfer. Don't have to debate that. I mean, even if you want to say that's not the name, Lethe of Hades, science reveals that this is the cause of if we are finite body of value true, positive unto itself, its own identity, at the same time as our fact achieving nature, active body of value discernment towards that and that, trying to be true always, not exploiting one exception, and trying to be progressions, value at the same time. See, if we do that as science, like for example, too, using ground with water, has to be a relationship to itself that's going to cause positive value nature progressions. That is positive, which we have tactically denatured relationship to nature that were forced by the physical and by the intellectual slavery of our founders, recorded. It's sick to pretend not to real understand the slavery of our founders, their stolen identities, and to pretend that passions that are fake care for the people who are hurt worst by slavery, which is a fact cheaping nature racket. No person of any hue wanted slavery. That was forced by what needed everybody invested defending fact cheaping nature roles, exploitations of indifference to, and blaming on others and on themselves, the real causes of negative value nature progressions, which is what these tactical denatured relationships to nature were for. Not just to keep everyone afraid to talk, and if they had to talk, having to speak for the sensibilities that others told them to think. See, we have natures of industry that need to be adjusted as victim predators, or as victims. I mean, as predators, pure. That's why we need YouTube to deal with this. Ranim Al Mansour's new lover also recorded and confessed with crimes with natures of lawyers and all kinds of cliques with the New Britain Superior Court from my town, criminally involved with the on-off campuses and their own campuses, crime acts and roles in the background, preventing me from reporting crime acts since from confessions from stranger, demonstrations from stranger regarding interbranch police, military police, foreign and domestic. Same cliques. You see, they're also reported hurting women and stuff like that. They need physical delusions, pretend that and start and pretend, fights with other people, pretend they're capable of settling issues. When they started them, when they've been furthering them, even child sex offenders, because we have interbranch families with the principal sex offender school further, the voyeur offender, whatever, sex offender role, because the court before that and the police before that would message and posted rape threats. They're also with evidences crimes preventing speech in cases. Then there have people through time that go to jail every single day in the jail through for years. They don't let them have a means to demonstrate sick courts that put them there. Criminally foreign and infinitely worse than that. We have very sick natures of fake positive, fake morality men, with women also recorded attaching roles with families like a Lethe family with the Hartford triage, recorded and confessed criminally involved with them. A whole bunch of natures of crime acts, and then 3 times they forced me there criminally. One time I told my 3 months after my father died, who had ongoing this from the Trade Center attack, a case, and there were parts of cases tied to it with the same cliques, federal criminals and police forms with crime acts against me and roles with this and with these factory they set up exceptions that they need to pretend for how they want to criminally have facts unfold in courts, which is not at all. They're using courts to quash voices through time, stack faked relationships to others. Then they look in databases and they pretend they know about things because they're categorically each year people's lives they have fake things put in because they're maintaining degenerates as the recorded value of our and various insidious sick natures, fakes like a Joello also recorded with various natures of federal crimes like mail crimes, evidence crimes of Wethersfield Police, intercity police, as their business crime rolls note right next to South Buckley High School in Hartford. Same clique, same person tied to criminality with police chief's family and with people tied to them, pretending the interbranch family members lied to other family members were lied to first, and they even told the news to pretend I had psychology doctors as a kid. Recorded confessed to involved with crimes with this Leahy family involved with the sex crime acts criminally, and with fake conversations tied to me, and with women in their family recorded with crimes of women judges, switching names, forging names, even a black judge and a black doctor I don't know the name of recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the mother of one of the child sex offenders involved with the interstate fire inspectors and Hartford Hospital and this Dillon family criminally involved with the new and past neighbors, also recorded and confessed tied to untimely deaths that were connected that brought up the child offenders' roles. Besides the online rape threats, and on campus, off campus ones. See, from strangers too, because they imply conversations. There were people that at Trinity College, right before my father died. I don't know the whole context what happened there yet. That record, I never had a conversation with, never had a class with. See, the same clique, inter campuses I went to each year of my life, they were directed to act, to pretend I knew them and others in context that never were. And they yell things out like that. And then some guy said, oh, that must mean, in other words, they said, I don't know, I'll buy the coffin for your father. Before my father was assaulted, I don't know what happened, if they killed him or what, in the hospital. And that's one with the Lethe family. After he graduated high school, I had never didn't even see him in high school. A Rick Champfillon confessed and recorded his brother and friends associated with roles with a person who didn't go to my school who also pretended to know me. I recorded him in a before and after his smoking drugs because of his confessions, demonstrations to me as a stranger about his roles with like a DeMoro family criminal. I never saw them in the same place at the same time. And people like that each year since I was in grammar school recorded and confessed interbranch confessing and demonstrating they have criminal enterprises juxtaposed with the branches. There's a Joshua Julian I never had anything to do in my life. Never had a conversation with in my life. He was telling people he partied with me. He was telling people that he was spreading rumors through kids about criminal enterprises, about their family members. And, we have recorded family members and people associated with the interbranch cliques that are recorded criminally pretending they don't want to be, they want privacy. But it's criminally because if they wanted privacy, they wouldn't attach themselves to fake, to the federal crimes they did. They wouldn't use their kids for federal crimes. You see what I'm saying? They can't put anything in paper now. So they've been using courts to stack fake arresting officers like this Detective Sumuda to hide foreign and domestic police, various natures of police and people associated with that, with East Hartford, associated criminally with CCSU and with other campuses used criminally, leading up to the 2006 case and since, leading up to the part of it in the Trade Center attack context, Ninth Circuit. My father proved that he had hand delivered his papers on time. Then they were post dated from inside the Ninth Circuit, which is right in the Trade Center attack context, also shut down, therefore. So that was proven afterwards that someone from inside the court had post dated them to appear late before the judges. And then, making the judges would decide that was late. So then it took all the 5-6 years later, they had another part of the case in 2006 with a whole bunch of federal criminals that were in the audience of and with the group that has three or four of them. Three of the co-defendants, the federal criminals that my father proved after I got out of high school were that with pension thefts and stuff like that, lies about him. They in other words, they were his co-defendants of the former director of the F.B.I. in 2006. And as recorded crime rolls with threats and confessions to me and others about the interbranch police on off campuses leading up to that and since. See, because we have evidence perception bodies with areas crime rolls with the courts that are using the databases, also recorded with crime rolls with the areas with their prison cliques, with on off campuses training of prison cliques, military cliques, maintained juxtaposed with other nations, association with, they have psychology used with the same evidence rackets, where they pretend not to speak medical information. In other words, they use that and stuff like that to pretend they don't realize They in other words, precedents. They pretend not to realize being used sickly, attaching fake things into databases, forging names, switching sequences, and then discrediting other people. So it's worse than extortion. You know, we have physical delusions into branch recorded, and, and worse, natures that need to hide their nature. See criminal insidiousness nature. Now they need to hide from correlation nature. Now they need to hide from my free speech, which is obligated to reveal how many people they hurt. So what they do, they hurt themselves. You know, and fake news is refusing to do their job, their roles with database crimes, with faked integrity, leading these completely delusions raw people like um, Roberto Blake, a good person. They make him a bad nature with his response, like snapping on someone like that for asking questions because they have these people. They're raising this because they're having them speak fast, which is understandable. You want an audience, people want to watch someone who speaks fast, whatever. But it's also within those natures of convictions and influences over them that is maintaining the platform as a fake sides rolls with the fake news, as crime rolls weapon against people needing to report things. They're blocking. I put a post on here about Newtown because Newtown, Sandy Hook, they have recorded interbranch and private investigators and clicks from there with databases and tied to fire departments and stuff like that, EMS, criminally involved, their families and stuff like that. They're here, you know, not even going to all that. See that I'm trying to report crime acts. They're pretending they have the right to lie for what they don't, and they're like there's a lawyer they put on TV all the time, Marquis, the law offices of Marquis Salamone and Morelli. They call them up. They won't follow mandated law. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's because So we have name switching and forging that is tied to real bad things. Vaccine. We have natures of lawyers that are incapable of countering what is recorded consciously and sickly, juxtaposing natures of crimes per methods recorded effectively, maintaining a whole bunch of people needing to lie and hurt others, as what really was just causing even more people in the court as victim predators and as completely innocent getting set up in courts each day already through time. I just remind. And then I have no criminal record. I was put in jail for 6 months, not allowed to talk. They break every rule and have excuses with physical delusions. As one of the doctors with a prison in Newtown, Sandy Hook, as one of the doctors too recorded with rape threats before he even knew who I was, with identity theft acts, with database crime acts recorded, and him on Facebook threatening to give me the lithium or something like that, and then kiss me. Little sick guy. He looked like a bully, from another country. That's why these guys pretend they're against that too, because they also attach me to fake conversations about agencies and things like that. Not like things I really need to say, but not like that, and not at all. And I didn't say that. They knew that I was going to tell on them. So what they do is try to pretend that people try to say things wrong. People can't speak. These are people who can't speak. They have to hide from the background, use their white women and their family, use their kids to spread rumors about people, use a Joshua Julia to spread lies about criminal insidious natures so they can pretend to be positive and to hate that. That's how they pretend morality, hate. So as victim predator, in one of the comments, someone said, "Well, you're hurting small YouTubers." And then Roberto Blake was like, I don't know if he even realized it. Like, snapped at the guy, then threatens to block him off. Then what are they going to do? They use Facebook and they use Facebook policing interbranch for rape threats, messages and posters to me on Facebook. Then sequence shifts crime acts and roles in cases. And that was dismissed because they did all that to prevent me from reporting recorded rape threats. See, because they have natures of undercover and of roles with criminal justice on and off campuses that they let break crimes and stuff like that because that's how the nature was is they're here, shared policing. We have Russian families associated with confessions and federal crime roles with this Lethe family, with the Justin Pavinskis, other MPs and military families that I never had tried to contact in my life, that I never even was in a conversation with in my life, who tried to pretend to film pretend they film things. There's also people tied to a Kerr family and some guy I don't know on my Facebook page recorded and confessed with crimes with overt criminal enterprises. Apparently John Gotti was in the Marines, or someone in his family was in the Marines with a Kerr family criminally involved with the Britain Superior Court and child sex offenders, foreign and domestic, and with his Leahy family, and they shared sexual relationships per them with the girls criminally involved with the federal criminals of the former director of the FBI, who had crime roles with the kids, like Eric Jensen, and with state police and with his family, and when he lived in Dearborn Street in Newington. And then they put him in a class with me. And then right before that, they made an exception. A couple times I met him through Ray Colello. Also, Eric Oliveri, with those couple exceptions. Recording, because I never knew him when they were growing up and facilitated to know each other, but they were pretending other. Like years later, I found out he was involved with the abuses of Bettina Brown and a Brown family. They're maintaining reaction because they're having everyone speak through what other people tell them. Like two babysitter families I had. One in the area is a male nurse. I don't know if his sisters are nurses or what. But one of his sisters was two of his sisters used to babysit me. No, normal, great babysitter, whatever, normal relationship. Your parents have to go to work. It was like I was pretty older then too. It was like just only for legal reasons. And so we have other natures of FBI involved with the area, like the indirectly tied to the witness protection program with, I don't know if it's both I guess Sonny, a guy named Sonny. I don't think I ever met, and the Jackie Johns. See, Hartford is very small, and these were people who worked on my father's construction site, and with like a Charlie LeConte, who had his daughter and family members involved criminally then and now, with more. In other words, with schools. I never had a conversation with her in my life. They tried to pretend other, with a all with tied to Haddam too, implied. I don't know if there's a um like nuclear power plant or something like that in Haddam. I don't know, but there's like there are police forms associated with Heather Hansen and people associated with her criminally, with the Joe DeMauro, with a Mike Kerr, then tied to a whole bunch of other people that were directed to crime roles with them that I don't know at all either, that pretended other, tried to film other, like two Carone brothers. And then there's another Carone, I don't know, Jamie Carone. I know what he looks like. And then there's a Corona that was also brought up by the person on my Facebook page with the confessions tied to them with this. And then there's Anthony Agnew, his brothers, and his neighbors recorded and confessed involved with crimes with drugs, foreign and domestic, and with his Lethe family, with identity theft crimes with evidences with interbranch fakes through time, with each age of fact cheating nature. These are the same predators with the kids that are the same cliques hurting the elderly, pretending to be positive natures, exploiting every, in other words, as not as positive natures, knowingly. But it's either preventing free speech and correlations protraction from demonstrating this per a crime method that is recorded effectively, maintaining juxtaposed natures of crimes, keeping everyone, each position of fact treatment nature, blind indifference to titles, exploitations. And these are people who pretend to be against that by, as victim predators, pretending to be against things like dictators. So we've had since founding, pounding drum. You see, native rights are the Constitution unabridged. It's a relationship to nature that causes evolution. We had built, like in New York City, that was built through criminal foreign influences that we cannot counter. We have the blessing. We have the blessing of a leader with the potential to counter criminal insidious nature, which requires calling out the fake news, which requires forcing it to be fixed. However, see, but this he can't do it. We have to have. I would never want anyone to be charged, especially into these prisons recorded in collusion with crime and roles with areas with the worst federal criminals and with the courts, with them, but before they went in and were in there. Also with name rackets, like with people with from like people with associated with the name Syntron, federal criminals associated with New Park Avenue and police forms, undercover with federal crimes with Syntron, the Wethersfield police chief, with crimes with his extended Italian family and other nations, overt and unrealized criminal enterprises. In other words, you can't legalize what they're pretending to legalize per acts that demonstrated. See, but we're not having crime acts allowed reported. See acts. I believe that's part of the Bible. I didn't read them. First part of the Old Testament is all you have to read is just understand this part here. It's demonstrating the sciences. The decipher is that the sciences share an identity. They have an identity that is shared together, and even as every complete identity has a simultaneously, unceasingly gaining value of relationship as a simultaneously as a semi-nature to the complete identity of existence / space / its progression, which is an identity, which is its inherent, active, and progressive nature of volume of itself. Could debate that, but they have everything. You can't really debate it right unless you follow. Unless you're relied upon recorded six sciences, recorded physical delusions throughout the sciences, specifically to keep time, treatments of fact treatment nature rackets, um, ignored, blamed on other causes, blamed on others, mistreated. So I don't mean to hurt the feelings of these people. Roberto Blake, though, it's very serious. YouTube and Facebook policing used for database crimes in our faces. Fake news stealing my speech to a fake conversation with them, with courts, with child sex offenders, with Wethersfield police, through time not letting me say anything, and them attaching me to fake conversation, fake arresting officers, them spreading rumors about me, even online on Facebook now, pretending that they recorded me growing pot on my porch. There were crimes, in other words, again, with the neighbors, the extent, I believe that as a son, married into ties to the wife of one of the people on the witness protection, Jackie Johns. So, that see, all that was used for crime rolls with other FBI in the area, criminal uses of physical delusions and mental incompetence, recorded and confessed, mandate crimes as sex crime rules, criminal incompetence rules with another neighbor. So then they're going to make a fight because they have people with titles that don't have the integrity to face correlation nature's protraction. So they're stealing our identities, using other people's worse than hearsay, and you know, defending titles that are worthless there and here. The only way they're worth anything is in relationship to contrast forced, because we're a negative value nature progression with each modern nation blaming the cause of it on other and others on selves, not by accident. Only capable of seeking remedies to all the impositions with this through a value nature system only capable of not affording means to do anything about recorded sickly criminally foreign influence zoning laws and people stacking in New York City, in Hartford, Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut. George Washington left, even with the French general's help. He could only semi-encounter extort what was left with overt slavery in Hartford, Connecticut. Them using crow's nest on top, shoot people from the top thing they try to wrong, shoot their family members, top of the houses, and working not because they wanted labor, because they wanted to survive in a context where a tactically ulterior from the value nature system of existence slash space was installed tactically to cause negative value nature progressions in natures and acts that they could engineer, alter roles, and nature's exploiting, have exploited, and having blamed on other causes, not others, on self. So people need to say, "Oh, pick this guy. I don't like his answer." You know what I'm saying? Small YouTubers are being exploited, and the ones being cultivated are fake positive, fake morality natures. You see what I'm saying? So I hope you will be able to be man enough, Roberto Blake, and to admit that to yourself and to others, and Philip DeFranco, when you talk real fast, like right from the beginning, this, this, this Roberto Blake goes on. Forget it. The voice there. You crazy bastards, or something like that. Which they are. You know, people are mean on a mass scale because everyone's a victim predator. And I'm not saying that Philip DeFranco is not a great guy. Everyone's a great guy. I'm saying, but then you can't defend him because these are the people, the great guys, calling other people that, you know, without forgiveness, without understanding about the crime method with areas, especially urban areas. We have such fake science, fake morality that was nature's juxtaposed, bonded, juxtaposed methodically upon urban areas. Hartford, Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut, where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, and to use the French general to only semi-counter extort. That's why he left slavery. You know how George Washington and James Madison especially would be livid. You stole their identities with them when still. Reaching Phil, tribes. So fake news and interbranch families were lying to Weathersfield parents for on-off intercampus, like CCSU has crime rolls with other ages of campuses, each age of campus, no, and with men and women needing to hide their personal and group lie progressions, which is their motivations for the sex crime acts. That's why we have women involved with it through time, not because they care about their colleagues. They don't care about anything but themselves, about hiding their lie progressions and per their roles with high-ranking police forms. Sick. They're here. They can't defend the natures of positive that they repeat. And while we're in negative value nature progression, we're in a tactically denatured relationship to nature, to ourselves, as means that made the environment get more disgusting, not by accident. You can't. Then they want to blame that on individuals. They never had a real science. They have Harvard campuses and the narratives with the interbranch legal natures because they're the only voices of the law for jobs. They have physical delusions. That's not the nature of the law. That's the Constitution abridged. Our obligation was to have mandated law followed. So I hope someone could have any kind of influential YouTuber force these trade center crime acts roles with the sex crime acts and with the fake account pretending to be me and pretending to be the new lover of my wife. I'm only on paper still married to too, by the way, because in other words, you know, in other words, they wrecked my relationship. I want to try to find a relationship now where if you have you say, how could someone wreck your relationship? Because my, my my wife is not from this country. My first wife. You see what I'm saying? And in other words, they have police and all these people. That's why they had those. I mentioned confessions to me from strangers, and then they switched from complaining about a military police officer to confessing that it was a court police officer, and that was tied to a Hartford court told my father to use their court for a deposition, apparently because the former director of the FBI was one of the defendants with the federal criminals recorded with other natures of crimes that then were the issues in that case with the kids in my grades growing up and with rackets that are directing people to act where and how they're lying to groups that know they're never going to meet or they're only going to and when and how and where they're going to see each other. And before that, they're making things. This is a natures of crime juxtaposed that we only have to counter. They're very simple. They're just extensive, and it's demonstrating that we have natures of experts that can't defend their evidence perception, tied convictions, and natures without having to hide that into hurt correlation natures simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. We have fake sides of issues recorded consciously having been fake sides of conflicts recorded, fake middles recorded consciously cultivated through each age of fact sheeting nature, tied to what the principle and tied to what the rest of the police forms and courts were and military and foreign families were motivated for sexual harassment and for identity thefts and property thefts, crime acts roles, drug crime roles, drug crimes with the same doctors and identity theft natures of crime clicks with overt drug crime roles and other nature crime roles as the ones with New Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of people from my town, criminally foreign influence, raised as, you know, immoral predators, can't defend themselves, and what they've been speaking in the background, they were raised to a nature of crime where they're like, gangs have to show each other that they're not going to tell on each other. These people do it by federal crimes that are verbal, spreading rumors, illusions, pretending they knew people, had conversations with people they never were at all, spreading fake lies about police equipment, recording stuff that it never did, stacking fake arrests into officers, fake arrests in officers. These are more sick than most people, than most killers, than most violent people. All recorded, maintained victim predators. So we need to have we need to have um, the police forms, foreign and domestic, involved criminally with each of the online platforms, policing and convictions, and narratives in the background with them. There are proofs that the leaders of YouTube heard the phrase um, perfect world, per their roles with these agencies, criminally involved, originally and still. You see, I'm not saying that these agencies don't have great sacrifices in nature and other identity of value and worth, but we have recorded sick natures of agents and of agencies per top down, which the president is also demonstrated the only one we have capable of countering, and the only one we have willing to. In other words, regarding the Mueller treatments and the opinions with that, and the Comey treatments, they're being cultivated. In other words, they're worse than dividing and conquering us criminally, hiding the sequence shifts and the crime methods and roles associated with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, first, and from the Trade Center context, and leading up to that and since, and worse than interstate, and with all these recorded federal crime acts, with the databases of, and with cases in Connecticut, and with all tied to them with that, because these Sandy Hook doctors and recorded medical clicks were also recorded with the crimes with the child sex offenders and with sequence shifts. You know, in other words, too, if when someone tries to tell them they fake sequences, delay, allow mandated obligations, pretend other. Then you have to hide that. You have to hide your natures. And then everyone's doing this on a mass scale. So we have a nature of just broken grammar school um, narratives with treatments in Congress that CNN is also recorded, entrenched, criminally involved with. Don't take it personal. CNN just fixed the crime acts roles with CBS, NBC, CT, and Fox CT. They also implied that and demonstrated and recorded crimes with Weathersfield police with the park and with people in their that work for them at various jobs maintained the collusion through Weathersfield Park and through the schools that they're criminally involved with of each age at the same time, because they're using that to hide lie progressions and to hide they're using that to hide their natures from correlation nature by pretending to be positive, by pretending to care that things mean what they don't. In other words, free speech is free speech. You demonetize my videos, whatever, but they block them with no means to counter the criminality with that, like with the recorded, proven, and then further recorded. crimes with proven recorded. They have to pretend they're recorded, pretending things aren't recorded, that are recorded by pretending recorded things too. Like two Mendez brothers also recorded and confessed involved with crimes interbranch with the police forging and switching names. People from my grade and my sister's grade, when we were growing up, that pretended they were in conversations to me, to her, and to others. Pretended they, I never had a class with them, never had anything to do with them. I noted the one exception, which was the Mendez brothers recorded and confessed involved with the crimes with overt criminal enterprises and with other people, with these people. Now they're also recorded in our court of an interbranch inclusion with name forging, switching, and crimes with the principal sex offender. And after and with and as the value of their roles with the online rape threats interbranch using the Facebook page of New Britain Superior Court, using that with a rape threat against, with a threat to kill President Obama too, with a Dave K-N-E-R and a E-R-I-C, Eric K-N-E-R, also recorded and confessed. You know, that was before the child sex offenders. With that, for sustained, they're juxtaposing different natures of crimes juxtaposed. They have interbranch family members recorded and confessed they lied to Weathersfield parents. They had a community meeting about me when I tried to report. Before I even got to the sex crime acts, they arrested me for trying to report other natures of crime acts that the police were recorded and tied to. They pretend they get mad when you point out their crimes, and but meanwhile they're setting little kids up, and sick roles with elderly also set up systemically, just like the urban areas. Those aren't means. You can't afford anything, not by accident. In other words, to build out of poverty. You don't tell people stacked in that and through those campuses go work hard. And that's one thing. It's all right for someone to do that, but don't do it as a science when science reveals there's not enough jobs of quality, and the quality jobs are all natures of jobs that are forced to defend the convictions that are forced to that job. You can't defend that and ourselves at the same time. They have physical delusions into science reported. We have to do something about psychology with the Russians involved criminally, and with the fake news, and with the campus crimes, and with the fire departments criminally involved with the rest of the child offenders, election crime rolls. See, then they have those election crime rolls measured, everyone incapable of truth and pretending to be against them. They cultivate everyone going against it because they know they they have state scenarios already in collusion with election crime rules and methods because they're using town offices, everything to hide their life progression. Also tied to this Dillon family, with the numbers of other kids and now adults and now families in my area that I never had anything to do with, that they pretended other, with the ones in my grade tied to this Eric Klotz, Mike Kerr, DeMorrow, Click with CCSU, and with the other ones associated with the extended family members of Ray Kalua involved criminally with CCSU and Trinity College police criminally with child sex offenders, like one with name forging and switching, and with judges retired and standing with the state judicial branch offices, and with houses next to that, with Enza Faenza also recorded confessed with crimes with recorded confessed and demonstrated with crimes with the media ad companies. An Iowa family also recorded after they were with federal crimes, post and fake conversation with me after it, with crimes with WFSB posting. These are also people that a Demoro family and others recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with them criminally with an O'Brien family, which is a long time interbranch tied criminally foreign influenced roles with investigators and their brothers and their extended family and stuff with as the investigator criminally involved with Sandy Hook and with the doctors criminally involved. And see, then this Kelly Kazmarek and others people that I don't know sought me out with confessions regarding the corners and demonstrations of criminality regarding the corners of the streets of the corners of the street of the principal sex offender. Then there are doctors and like some sex offenders that recorded and confessed and demonstrated that a Pierce woman. I also never had a conversation with. She made confessions to me. I don't know. When they have people make confessions, I didn't respond to her, and she implied that she knew me too. See, they're doing that for sequence shifts too after the fact, because that was after I already caught them the first time. In other words, they're not letting me call the police on them, and they keep attaching me and my family members to fake conversations to torture us, including with the media, because and to crime acts in cases to torture us, like the proven sequence shift from inside the Ninth Circuit in Manhattan, tied to Connecticut intermediate crimes with cases, with courts, with child sex offenders, police, through time, intercity, and with their Facebook pages. You see what I'm saying? Let's go. That's science. Let's see what the sequence shifts. They're not letting sequence shifts reported. Sequence shifts used for sex crime acts, roles, and natures. Then because they've been using their kids, they're investing their kids involved with other kids with these narratives, spreading lies about others because their parents were raised too fake to be able to handle a man's correlation. So they have the men with fake women, attaching me to fake conversations with them, attaching others to fake conversations, forging names, switching names. Then they make little faces when they walk by. They try to play, they act things, vaccines. I tell you things, prepare your soul. Now, CT rolls, fake branches fall to the wall. So it's a problem because we have election crimes not let demonstrated, and then we have positions being invested in value who will jump in and pretend not to understand that. We're keeping everyone pseudo-educated victim predators. So Philip DeFranco and Roberto Blake, please don't stay victim predators. It's already all black. All the guy said to you was, maybe it was something I didn't see, but the guy said, what you said was that you didn't like that. He said, you small YouTubers are being blocked. That's true. They're stealing our free speech. They're still not letting child offenders be demonstrated, recorded by them still recording fake things, boxings. I tell you things, prepare your souls. We have physical delusions, especially regarding the value of emotions. They have physical delusions too, even when they see things typed there, pretending things that are there aren't there. The blocking feature of Facebook, recorded with criminal uses by the courts, using it for sex crime acts, rules, harassment, force sustained, them using charges like that, like harassment, criminally to hide their acts, using courts, faking arrests, faking, directing people to set people up with fake information, fake recorded thing, vaccine. So let's go. Let's go. We're going to need someone to pick one name, stop switching names. They also direct states attorneys to do this. With NAS recorded states attorneys general recorded criminally worse than criminal confidence and incompetence involved. And that with a fact cheating nature racket. The attorney general, The state police also were criminally involved, torturing me, threatening me, using the phrase "perfect world," not to say anything. So now is my now they're obligated to confess to the Attorney General of the United States, Jeffrey Sessions. And then we'll get into the other agencies because they pretended I had conversations with a CIA that a Kathy Tansey and a Sal Saviolo were pretending on also, not just interbranch in medical families with this campus drug clicks with the New Britain Superior Court fakes. That's all I know them recorded as. And they recorded offensively spreading lies about me, discrediting my integrity, calling me a liar through time before they were even in the court, criminally involved. But they don't even know me. You see what I'm saying? They're they got locked into live aggressions. They got locked into and as natures. They painted themselves in the corners. So we have judges to retire here, and we have retired judges to discipline too. You see what I'm saying? I'm the only one who could do it. Demonstrating. They're also recorded pretending that I'm narcissistic, which was to imply that they had a conversation with wasn't at all. And they play the opposite too. You know, they put all kinds of fake things in databases through time. I just remind. So this is also recorded and confessed tied to a Walters family, a Kerr family, and a DeMorrow family with clicks with the Walters family and the Kerr family demonstrated. The Walters family said his mother too and his extended family, brothers and stuff like that, associated with Washington and with people associated with so he also had roles with a Pandolf family and with people associated with CCSU since they were kids criminally, with sciences departments and police stacking illusions and databases and having conversations with on and off campus investigators that are keeping victim predators maintained. So also they have crime roles with the media, the communications department, each of the departments at CCSU. So they're making victim predators. So they're trying to start a fight with me and a Mendez guy, but that's different than the two Mendez brothers. I don't know if he's related to them or if his father. Who knows? You know, it was. I never had anything to do with Eric Mendez and his brother Janito, who implied he was a detective or something with the Weathersfield Police Department. He ended us a police report, fake fake recorded things by police, putting the name of police equipment and put me in a quote that was faked. Was an extended crime act role with him, recorded and confessed involved with his brother, with a health crash project I did on their rules with drug dealing, with the stranger who had made the confessions to me, which turned out to be his crime roles with the daughter, with people associated with the daughter of, and with the extended family members, you know, who the daughter married apparently, a Reno Mazzucato, who like one time stopped in his driveway for like a second, and then one time at a beach stopped his driveway for a second. Robert, uh, forget it. Mike Mike Roberts also recorded and confessed crimes with that. With the acting, they would get me to a place through other people now that I would meet for the first time that would tell me to go there, and you know you don't notice it because the whole time they're furthering their lie progressions to make it look like you knew people before then, and then in those contexts they're attaching us to fake conversations, relationships to them, and they're leaving out a lot, and they're stealing free speech. It doesn't work. And then in our faces, they're pretending to be against dictators. We have worse than dictator total fraud fakes. Can't even with sick natures they have to even make faces and pretend they have integrity by pretending other people are bad. You see, that's the only way they could do it with those natures of logic, all ulterior from the nature of logic that is the Constitution on a bridge, which is a simultaneous nature as value. Is the values together at once. So, you have to pick natures of crime to counter. I don't want any of them on me or my family in my areas, especially intercity. Especially we're gonna have we're gonna treat the trap that Hartford is in with over 80 something shootings already, and then even more stabbings, then even more probably more people than they have streets. They're forcing drugs in Hartford. These are people that are pretending that I'm taking drugs. These are people recorded criminally involved with forcing a kid on next to a golf course to take drugs for his roles with UConn involved criminally, with the child offenders, with the police forms and the judges that forcing him to take the drugs as their means to hide life progressions and natures recorded in collusion with the with the now the real child offenders and with the policing of these campuses, like even the ones I didn't go to, criminally involved on off campuses policing and their crimes with more drugstores and stuff like that, and their roles with really what's causing not just 80 shootings, all kinds of people. There are proofs that not even the amount of people they're writing off as suicide that they're setting it up to look like that because of the natures of crime recorded with um, I forgot their name, a Cuddy family, Cuddy brothers and their family. There's like three Cuddy brothers, four Cuddy brothers in their family associated with Phil Kalal and stuff like that, criminally involved, per Bob Chase and per the interbranch cliques tied to the houses in my area, with the proven sex offenders further tied to more, and with the family members of one, you know, and also with Stop and Shop policing and Town Line foreign and domestic policing shared, demonstrated with them involved with crimes with probate courts and with superior courts and such, all tied distinctly and non-distinctly. Uh, they're making us fight each other. Someone find a leader who's not completely delusions wrought and follow the mandated law. They know if they worse than criminal incompetence pretends not to be able to understand that people are database illusion stacking against other people through time. So Maxine, that thing's painful. Fix the news.